Here's a topic that's been on my mind for quite a long time, so I thought I'd throw something together, and I'm calling it Save Our Domestic Species, or SODS, which is a bit unfortunate, but I quite like the sound of that. Imagine the world a million years ago, and after that, right up until almost the present day, give or take a few thousand years. Vast herds of herbivores, ungulates, roam the planet from the icy north to the plains of Africa. Endless herds of bison occupied North America, and fish were so abundant it defied the imagination, whilst fowl filled the skies in their millions and millions. The forests and the hills, too, were full of life. Everywhere nature had created its all-encompassing web. Early humans learned to exploit the living resources around them, from picking fruit, digging for roots, and grabbing the odd bird or other creature. They started making stone tools. These tools enabled them to scavenge the kills of fearsome predators, smashing the bones to get at the fat rich marrow left behind. Have you ever seen this BBC clip of people, three men, driving a whole lion pride off their kill, long enough to steal a massive haunch of meat? Have a look for it, it's well worth seeing, incredibly impressive. Humans got clever, and slowly we began steering the plants and animals around us into behaving the way we'd like them to, for our own survival. This led to domestication. Perhaps the wolf came first, became over time man's best friend, the dog. Preparing soil, planting seeds, etc. led to farming and harvesting crops, but it's the animals we're most interested in here. The giant wild herds gradually decreased as domesticated livestock increased and mankind spread out across the globe. We replaced many wild species with domestic species, but in a way, though it was a change, the numbers still balanced out. For where there was a decrease in one respect, there was an increase in another. Nature is a seesaw. Things come and go for many reasons. Humanity is a part of nature, and thus the changes we've brought about are as much to do with natural occurrences as any other phenomena. And so, for millennia, we've managed the newly domesticated species for our own benefit. Our own benefit? Only that? You see, logically, any prey species must outnumber its predators by a huge factor. If this wasn't the case, extinction and starvation would be the result. The giant mean-tempered aurochs, the ancestors of all modern cows, may well be extinct, but their descendants are probably more numerous today than their ancestors ever were. Isn't this a success story on behalf of the cows? And we can say the same for all the other domestic animals: pigs, chickens, turkeys, sheep, goats, and many, many more. All of them have benefited too, just because they are useful to the human race. But this symbiotic relationship is now under attack. The wheels of an environmental ideology that seems to have lost its way, even its mind. Meat becomes suddenly harmful, even though we are biologically adapted to it. Domestic animals fart too much, eat too much, take up space that could be used for more crops. Really? Much grazing land is actually unsuitable for crops. Many farmed animals eat our byproducts too, as we utilise theirs. Verging on pathology, a movement is underway to drastically reduce our domestic breeds. In their place will come more of the processed foods, which are actually the kind of stuff that's causing many human health problems. Imagine a world devoid of our domestic animals, both to see and to consume. These proposals come from above, not below. If you don't believe me, follow the money. They come from those who wish to land grab farms and producers. They talk about rewilding, but these areas will be like private estates, similar to the aristocratic hunting preserves of the feudal era. We won't be allowed there, and poaching will be heavily dealt with. We are being encouraged to eat insects. Okay, some cultures already do that to an extent, but what about those who find the idea anathema? Would we force pork onto Muslims or Jews, or horse meat onto the British? And what about when these massive locust farms built on former pastures are breached and billions of pests escape? What then, Gunga Din? Have you noticed a new managerial elite has been rising, and they have no truck with democracy or hypocrisy. In order to rule the world like an imperial class, they need to indoctrinate the people with an ideology they can buy into. By placing the fate of the earth into individuals' hands, they will solidify their power and manufacture a new feudal system where those of us allowed to exist will be no more than neo-serfs. The medieval serf could not freely leave the land of his lord. This is what the new smart cities represent. While our overlords jet around in private luxury and ride in their expensive cars, we will be stuck on overcrowded public transport, and our movements will be restricted. Where these new elites will be enjoying the fruits of their giant corporate estates, eating as much meat of every kind that they desire, we'll be expected to eat bugs, while they will live in their mansions and palaces. We will live in rabbit hutches with our space requirements dictated by managerial and bureaucratic tyrants. As energy prices soar due to the inability of renewables to work well, we'll be cutting down on heating and cooking, etc., whilst the neo-elite burn up and waste as much as they want. Expensive energy will keep people in less well-off countries burning wood, cutting down trees and destroying their lungs. And denied also their precious livestock, they'll be all the more poorer. Sure, pollution is a problem, but like everything else we create, it can be mitigated and largely solved without lowering the standard of living. Animal welfare is an issue too, but many strides have been made in this regard, and more still can be. We love our domesticated species. We've spent thousands of years evolving them, and they still provide us with our most healthy diet and needs. What's being fabricated against them and those that care, work and live off them is neither in the interests of themselves, humanity, or indeed the planet. They talk big about humans causing extinctions, whilst at the same time conspiring to cause a mass extinction themselves. So I say, save our domesticated species. I like to add one more thing to this talk, and that is that conservation of wild species of animals and plants is very important, and I hope and pray, and I'm sure that so many people are involved in this, that we can conserve and give space to the wild animals and the biodiversity on this planet, again, without lowering the standard of living for everybody. So thanks for listening, and Thanks for watching, and I'll see you about.